you should have gotten your research done, and you should have maybe looked into the technical drawing and the rendering. So in this demo, I want to show you how to put it all together. So I'm bringing up my slide presentation. I've got my title slide with the journey statement on it. I've got my history of the expedition sailboat. And for those of you who have watched our wonderful meeting with the famous yacht designer Bob Perry, he had an interesting take on the term expedition sailboat, which is that any boat can be an expedition boat as long as you take it on an expedition. And I thought that was a really valid point that he made. I had heard the term used kind of within the boating world, but I kind of like how he has expanded it to really empower you to be the person who decides whether your boat is an expedition craft. And of course, there's also the part of the history where you are turning it around and saying, this is what my boat's going to be, and you're sort of introducing your boat against the history of how you got to it. Next, I'm going to bring in my technical drawing to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag and drop it right in here. And it kind of formats it automatically so that it's the same height as your slide. You can say Penguin technical drawing. And if you want to write some notes about it, you may. It might be a good idea if there's something you want to point out that isn't in the drawing. For example, this is based off of a Pelagic 77 modified to a sloop rig, it's a cutter rigged sloop. Cutter rigged because it has two head sails, one here and one here, and it's a sloop because it has one mast. So it is a cutter rigged sloop. It has an animal care station sort of just aft of the cockpit. Again, aft means behind the cockpit, to the rear of the cockpit. In this station, animals that are rescued or in need of care can be attended to sort of close to the water for easier and less traumatic catch and release. So it kind of explains a little bit about the design and why it looks the way it does. Lastly, we're going to add the rendering. I'm going to drag and drop that right in. And here is our rendering of the vessel at sea. I'm going to go ahead and put it over here on the right. I kind of like that. Like this. So there is the Penguin 75. And I don't need this text box. And I'm basically done at this point. As you can see, I added some nice watercolor to my rendering just to give it a little bit more life. I kind of felt like the line drawing that I did just by tracing that other pelagic was a little bit flat and didn't really show as much of the detail. So I went ahead and used watercolor pencils, and I just made it kind of nice and colorful. But of course, that is optional. I don't expect any of you to have those materials at home. But if you do and you want to, please feel free to use them. So that's basically it. And this is what I would turn in for my final boat design project. It contains a nicely thought out original vessel, as well as a little bit of research about that type of vessel. So that is really the full scope of the project, and I hope that you had fun doing it, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work.